My sister called me an uneducated street vendor. I called her a useless bum when she came asking for money. My sister, 29, female, insulted me, 36, male, for not completing school. She's educated and has a college degree. She thinks I'm beneath her because I didn't go to college. It's not like I didn't want to, but my circumstances didn't allow me to. Life hasn't exactly been easy for me, but I've never been one to complain. I grew up poor, like dirt poor. The idea of finishing high school or going to college was only a dream. My parents could barely keep the lights on. I started doing odd jobs when I was 13. When money started coming in, I was happy. I took 2 jobs, and then 3. It wasn't glamorous, but it was what I had to do. I don't remember when I dropped out of school and started working full-time. When I was working on a food truck, I liked the idea. I felt I could also do this. I quickly learned everything I knew. I wanted to have my own business one day. So when I was 21, I started my own food truck. I've been running it for over 15 years now. It's my livelihood, and it's something I built from scratch. After the success of one, I launched 3 more, and now I only do managerial work and oversee the operations. My dream is to make it like a food chain. Let's see how far I can go. It may not be fancy, but it's mine, and I've worked hard to keep it going. I need a high school diploma to figure out how to make a living. But my younger sister Anna had a different path. Or at least that's what we all thought. My parents and I worked our tails off to put her through school. They believed she was going to make something of herself. But things didn't turn out that way. Anna is 7 years younger. By the time she started school, I was already earning. So she led a better life because I brought money home. She was good at studies and we wanted her to go to college. My parents always pinned their hopes on Anna. They thought she was the one who'd break the cycle of poverty for us. They saw her as their golden child, the one who'd get an education, land a job, and pull us out of the hole we'd been stuck in for generations. I was already making money by then, but still I didn't mind. I knew my place in the family, working to help out what I could do. And I was okay with it. I was not a rebel. I'm the kind of guy who puts my head down and works hard. I was also hopeful that my sister would get a good education and bring a good name to the family. When Anna was old enough for high school, my parents did everything they could to make sure she stayed on track. They couldn't afford much, but they scraped together what little savings they had to send her to community college. I chipped in too. I launched another truck and ran it all by myself while still managing the older one. From time to time, I saved every penny I could so she wouldn't have to worry about money the way I did. I was dating my wife and had marriage plans, but we put that on hold. I told her to wait for a while until I sent Anna to college. She's a wonderful woman, she agreed. We all hoped Anna would make the most of the opportunity. But as the years went on, it became clear that she wasn't taking things seriously. She barely passed her classes and spent more time hanging out with friends than studying. She thought we were uneducated and she could fool us. Yeah, we didn't go to college, but we know this. If you're good, you'll get a job. Instead of focusing on her future, she acted like the world owed her something just because she was going to college. She did manage to graduate barely. My parents were hopeful, thinking she'd finally start to live up to the expectations we all had for her. But after graduation, she wasn't able to get a job. She got rejected. In interviews, she told my parents that there were fewer openings this year and that next year, when the fresh opportunities come, she would get one. It took her more than a year to get a job. After that day when my sister called me an uneducated street vendor, and I called her useless, something shifted inside me. Her words echoed in my head in a way I never imagined possible. I always knew our relationship was far from perfect, but I never thought she could look down on me so much after everything I did to give her a life I could never have. Maybe I was blind or naive to think that one day she'd recognize the effort I put in for her. What shocks me most is how she sees me. She's the one who constantly borrows money, who spent years living off allowances that I helped provide. Anna grew up thinking everything would be handed to her, that the world owed her something just because she had a bit of education. In her mind, having a degree should have opened doors to success. But reality has proven her wrong. She managed to graduate, but she didn't have the same drive I did. Yet she insists on looking down on me. In the days that followed, she began showing up at my place more often than I could stand. First, she came up with some story about trying to get organized, saying she needed a bit of time to settle down. But I could see what was going on. She spent her money on parties, nights out with friends, and expensive clothes. It was a lifestyle she couldn't afford, yet she had the nerve to call me uneducated. At first, I tried to keep calm and listen to her excuses, but the more she talked, the more it became clear she had no appreciation for the sacrifices I made so she could have that life. While she was out enjoying herself with friends, I was hustling to keep my livelihood going. The truth is, even if she tried to hide it, Anna was dependent on me, though her pride kept her from admitting it out loud. One day, during one of her visits, she pitched me this idea that I should help her start her own business, something, as she put it, that would elevate her to the level she deserved. She had this vague plan to start something more sophisticated than my food trucks, something that would really bring recognition. What she didn't say, but I knew, was that she expected me to fund the whole thing. And I knew if I did, that money would be down the drain in less than 6 months. When she finally laid out this so-called investment idea, it felt like a test for me. I took a deep breath and braced myself for the conversation, knowing that if I didn't draw boundaries now, I'd be exploited for the rest of my life. I asked her calmly why she thought she deserved my investment, beyond being my sister. I wanted to hear her justification for why I should throw away the hard-earned money I'd saved for years on what was clearly just another whim of hers. Naturally, she was offended. She looked at me with that smug expression and said that because I wasn't formally educated, I didn't understand how real businesses worked. That I had just gotten lucky with my food trucks and that anyone could have done the same. She didn't know that I spent sleepless nights calculating expenses, dealing with suppliers, and learning how to manage people. She thought it was all sheer luck. That was the last straw. I let out everything I'd been holding in. I told her that her time for asking for and receiving help was over, that I was done sacrificing myself for an ungrateful person. I told her that if she wanted a business, she should start small just like I did. No one builds a company overnight, and no one becomes sophisticated without putting in the work. She rolled her eyes as if every word I said was an insult directed at her. From that day on, she started a quiet campaign against me within our family. She went to our parents and told them I was shutting her out and treating her like she was nobody, that all she wanted was a chance, but I, selfish as ever, refused to help. Naturally, my parents fell for her story. To them, Anna was the bright future they never had, and hearing that I didn't want to help my own sister was a major disappointment. In the end, I was the one who ended up isolated. My mom even called, demanding an explanation, saying I was cruel and didn't understand the value of family. I kept silent, listened to everything she had to say, and when I finally opened up, I told her my entire side of the story. I told her about the years I'd spent working, the sacrifices I made, how I put my own dreams on hold to give Anna a better life, and how all I'd received in return was contempt. I laid out every detail they had never wanted to hear. It was a long and painful conversation, one that left scars. But something told me Anna wasn't going to stop there. She had a new target in mind, my wife. She knew that if she could somehow drive a wedge between us, she'd have control over the only bit of support I had left. And that's exactly what she tried, planting doubts, telling my mom I was spending too much on my family, that I respected no one but myself. Of course, my wife noticed the tension growing between us all. She's never been one to complain and has always been my rock, but the whole situation was affecting her. I started to worry that Anna might actually succeed in what she was trying to do, that she would eventually destroy everything I had built, one way or another. Anna didn't back down, and my mom began to insist that I reconsider helping her, claiming it was my duty as her older brother. They didn't understand that the money and help I had already given meant nothing to Anna. For her, it was all about pride. She wanted more than just financial help. She wanted to prove that every choice I made was wrong. Now I feel like I'm at a crossroads. If I give in to the pressure, I'm throwing away everything I've worked for. If I resist, I risk losing my own family support. I'm exhausted, but also determined not to let Anna win this game of manipulation. She wants to prove that I'm nothing, that my life is somehow beneath hers. but I'll show her I don't need validation from someone who never truly valued me. After so much intrigue, so many attempts at manipulation, I knew I had to put an end to the situation with Anna once and for all. It was no longer about keeping family peace. It was about freeing myself from a burden I should never have taken on. I had done far more than any brother would, but to her, nothing was ever enough. And if I didn't put a stop to it, she would continue to take advantage, continue to eat away at me from the inside until everything I'd built was destroyed. I began to make a plan, nothing grandiose, just a series of decisions to free myself from this exhausting cycle. First, I cut off the money completely. No more bank transfers or loans that were never repaid. This time, not a single cent more. I decided I wouldn't even bother explaining. After all, Anna was used to creating drama, and if I gave her an opening, she'd try to turn the situation in her favor again. Next, I talked to my wife, the only person who had truly been by my side throughout all the turmoil. She had been patient, but I knew this was taking a toll on her too. I told her I was tired of carrying the family's weight on my shoulders and that, from then on, our priority would be ourselves. She supported me, saying she had always been with me and understood how important this was for me. For the first time in years, I felt truly understood. It was a relief to have someone who saw me for who I was and not for what I could give. My next step was to go to my parents. I knew it would be hard for them to understand, but it was necessary. I called a family meeting, and when we were all in the room, I got straight to the point. I told them I was tired of being seen as an ATM, used and discarded when convenient. That everything I had done for Anna had come from the heart, but that she had never shown respect in return. My parents tried to argue, using the old lines about how family should help family and siblings should support each other. But this time, I didn't let myself be swayed. I responded calmly but firmly, explaining every sacrifice, every sleepless night I'd endured to give my sister a better life, and that now, I was ready to live my own life without carrying anyone else's responsibility. Anna was there, watching, and I could see the shock on her face. She hadn't expected me to stand up to her like this. To her, I'd always be that brother who said yes to everything, who would never assert himself. For the first time, she seemed speechless, and I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in a long time. Of course, she didn't give up easily. The next day, I started receiving messages from her filled with sarcasm and subtle jabs, as if she were trying to make me feel guilty for the decision I'd made. She talked about how I was abandoning the family, how ungrateful I was for not acknowledging the sacrifices she had supposedly made. I didn't respond. I simply ignored her, knowing that every word was another attempt to manipulate me. Time passed, and Anna started feeling the effects of no longer having my financial support. She stopped attending the lavish parties, her trips with friends became fewer, and her requests for help grew, increasingly desperate. It was as if she were finally realizing that the world didn't revolve around her, that she couldn't keep up that lifestyle without the help I'd been providing. One day, I heard from a mutual acquaintance that she had taken a job, some low-paying position she'd never imagined herself doing. It was ironic, considering she'd always judged me for the work I did to get where I was. She was, slowly but surely, tasting her own medicine, having to face the harsh realities of life without anyone to support her. As harsh as it may seem, I knew this was what was best for her. Maybe after so many falls, she would finally understand the value of hard work, of effort. Months went by, and my life became lighter. My wife and I decided to invest more in our small food truck chain. We started planning a major expansion, even considering franchising. And as our plans took shape, I finally realized I was in control of my life again. I didn't need anyone's approval, especially not from people who never appreciated my efforts. Then, one day, Anna showed up at my door. She looked different. The expensive clothes were gone, replaced by something simpler. Her heavy makeup was gone, and that air of superiority had vanished. She came in, head down, and started talking without any pretense. For the first time, I heard my sister apologize. It was a hesitant apology, full of pauses but genuine. She said she had never understood what it really meant to work to support herself, that she always believed she deserved a comfortable life without realizing who truly sustained that comfort. I stayed silent as she spoke. Part of me felt a certain relief, but another part still harbored deep resentment. I asked her if she understood what it meant to give up your own dreams to see someone else succeed, if she understood how much it hurt to see someone belittle everything you'd built with so much effort. She fell quiet, and in that silence, I realized that, while she might now understand, she could never fully make amends for what she had done. I don't know if it was a moment of weakness or a conscious decision, but I felt ready to move on. I looked at Anna and told her that what mattered to me was that she had learned something from all this, that I didn't need an apology to move forward, but hoped she'd never put me through this again. She nodded, and in that moment, I felt that things had finally resolved between us. Anna left my house looking different from when she had come in, and I felt something had changed within me too. We were no longer the same, and maybe that was for the best. I knew that, even if we never had a perfect relationship, the cycle of dependence and resentment had been broken, and I was ready to continue on my path, free from a responsibility that was never truly mine. The story with my sister didn't end abruptly or tragically. Instead, it was a slow, almost imperceptible conclusion, but a definitive one. Now, my focus was on the future, on my family, and on my own success. The journey wouldn't be easy, but this time, I knew that every step I took would be for myself, and not to support someone who never wanted to walk alongside me.